At some point, many women learn to stop listening to themselves. We override our bodies, we ignore our intuitions, and doubt our wisdom. Then we wonder why we feel disconnected and tired. Today, we're taking that trust back. Hi, friends. Welcome to Taking Back Happy. I'm your host, Gina Granville. God's girl, retired homeschool mom of 4, empty nester, GG, essential oil and exercise enthusiast, Christian life coach, and someone who is taking back her own happy. I know many of you feel exactly like me in these midlife years, a sort of loss of direction, but you feel way too young and vibrant to sit on the porch and just watch life go by. What if you could reclaim your life, finding deep joy, renewed passion and purpose, and plenty of adventure in these midlife years? If you are ready to find your spark again, throw on those walking shoes, pop in those earbuds, and join me right here as we take back happy together. Hey, Taking Back Happy friends, are you ready to connect? Jump on over into the Taking Back Happy Facebook group. That's a good place to connect with other women who are in the same stage of life and just trying to figure out what's next, bring that spark back into their life. Another way you can do it is to become a TBH Insider. This is where you're going to get weekly emails with the latest podcast, tips on creating a happy mindset, early bird access to special offers, and encouraging Bible devos. And last but not least is the Taking Back Happy coaching calls. I offer a free 1-hour coaching call to all of our Taking Back Happy listeners. Okay, my Taking Back Happy friends, what if trusting yourself is not self-reliance apart from God? It's actually learning to trust the woman God has been shaping you into all along. You know, many midlife women, we second guess ourselves. We feel disconnected from our bodies. We don't trust our emotions or our instincts anymore. Sometimes we think, well, God knows the answer to that, but I certainly don't. And this episode is going to help us reclaim that God-given discernment, wisdom, and self-trust. So if we're going to have this conversation, let's start at the beginning. Why we lost trust in ourselves. So let's think about this for a minute. We could be thinking about like years of putting others first, especially, when you have kids and you're constantly putting them and their needs first, sometimes a spouse. We could be, it's a lot of times we're told, oh, you're too much, or you're too emotional, or you're not enough. Like all those comparisons, that could be another reason. It could just be big life changes, things that kind of undermined us, if you've gone through a divorce or empty nest, or you've shifted careers, or even like health scares, anything like that could be something that would, kind of make you like not trust yourself again. And then also, if we've made decisions in the past that we regret, and then we're like, ooh, like we let those define us. So we need a redo or a reframe. One wrong decision does not mean you're bad at decision making. Losing trust in yourself doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've been surviving, you're living, you're changing, life is going on. And Philippians 1:5 says, he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. So now that we looked at how we got here, let's look at a few main points of how we can trust ourselves. So number 1, we can trust ourselves with our decisions. Wisdom over perfection. Trust is never about whether we make mistakes or we don't make mistakes. It's about knowing you can handle the outcome. So many times midlife women will like freeze because they don't know the right answer. I know I have been here so many times. A lot of times for me, it's like relationship questions. Should I be in this relationship? Should I not be in this relationship? Or even like business questions. Should I do this thing with my business? Should I not do this thing with my business? But we know that God rarely gives us certainty. He gives us wisdom. He gives us peace. And if you have the combo of those together, you're usually moving in the right direction. So we can trust ourselves to pray. We can trust ourselves to gather information. We can trust ourselves to listen. We can trust ourselves to decide. And then we can also trust to adjust if needed, right? It's not like God's like, oh, you did it wrong. Too bad. I'm really sad for you. A better question might be, if I knew God was with me, either way, what would I choose? I think one verse that kind of throws us off our game sometimes is Proverbs 3 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. And I think a lot of times we freeze up and we think, oh, well, I can't rely on any of my understanding. I have to just wait for him to give me the answer. But the verse is saying we need to acknowledge him. And that's the key, is acknowledging him, and he'll make our path straight. That doesn't mean he's figuring out every, minute little step along the way. Which brings us to the second way that we can trust ourselves, and that is with our physical health. So really like listening to your body again. This is huge for midlife women. We've learned to kind of like override hunger, exhaustion, pain, even intuition. And trusting your body means resting without guilt, taking naps on Sunday afternoon, paying attention to what gives you energy versus what drains you. For me, what gives me energy is going and being with people and doing things and walking. And the more I do, the more energy I have. But for some people, it's the exact opposite. And there's no right and wrong. It just depends on you and your body. Another thing we can do is we can advocate for ourselves. Like if we go to doctor's appointments, it's always great to have a friend go with you or a spouse or someone. But, just because they're a doctor doesn't know they know your body better than you know your body. And then the last way, when I'm thinking about it is your body's not betraying you when something happens, when you're like, oh my gosh, I have a terrible headache, or oh my gosh, my knee is hurting when I do squats, whatever. It's actually communicating with you. And so we need to listen when our body is telling us something. I've been a big plant-based like wellness advocate for the last few years. So many times, if you're taking something that has, natural wellness, things don't happen immediately like they do if you just take a pill. If you take something from over the counter or from the pharmacist, usually you see, a reaction right away. But when you're doing like wellness that's, more of a natural wellness, sometimes it doesn't happen immediately, and it's different with each person. So we have a new product that just came out that I'm going to be teaching on Thursday night. And one of the things that people are talking about is they're talking about how much weight they lost. They're talking about like, how many inches they dropped. But a lot of people aren't even talking about that. They're talking about how it makes their body feel, how it's shutting down like food noise and things like that. So if we listen, our body is always going to be talking to us. We just have to tune in and listen. So the third way we can trust ourselves is with our mental and our emotional health. A lot of times this could be a tricky place. This can be where shame often comes in, or often even lives if we let it. Emotions can be information, not necessarily instructions. So a lot of times we're taught like, don't be so emotional, or you're making decisions from your emotions, or we're told that a lot as women. And so a lot of times we want to do just the opposite. And we're like, oh, we're not going to be emotional at all. We're not even going to listen to those emotions. We're just going to shut those down. But that's not how God made us. God made us to have emotions, and they're just to be informers, right? We're not like they always say, you're driving the car and let your emotions be sitting with you because they're giving you information. They're kind of like not your backseat driver, your side seat driver. They're giving you information. You're not letting them run the show. They're not over in the driver's seat, but they are giving you information. So you can trust yourself to feel without falling apart. And just because you avoid your emotions doesn't make you like stronger or better at decisions or better at trusting yourself, any of that. It just makes you numb or want to numb yourself, numb yourself with food, numb yourself with social media, all those kind of things. And in midlife, clarity often comes after we allow ourselves to feel. When we allow ourselves to feel something, that is an indicator that we may need to make a change, or we may need to do a certain thing. It's just another indicator, another like little fuel light on our dashboard. If you're willing to let yourself feel it, then you can actually heal it with God's help. You can open the door for Him to do a healing in your life. So, what are some things that we could do, some practical steps? We can take a minute and we can actually name what we're feeling. When I first started doing this, when I was in life mentoring school, going through the coaching program, and they would say, Name your emotions, name what you're feeling." And I remember I would always I'd have a thought or I'd have a statement or something like that. And they're like, no, no, what are you feeling? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling, confused? Are you feeling, what sort of feeling are you having? So we can name what we're feeling. We can ask, okay, what is this emotion? What's it trying to tell me? And then we can invite God into it instead of judging it and feeling bad for feeling it. And the final way we can trust ourselves is we can trust ourselves spiritually, basically like partnering with God. I kind of feel like this is the root of this podcast, taking back happy, taking back our happy, trusting God and trusting ourselves to find that joy, to find that spark again. I think this comes easiest when we think of God as a father. A father is someone who raises us, and when we're young, shows us the steps along the way. But as we get older, a father's job is to let us go and go out on our own and try new things. God doesn't want to replace our discernment. He wants us to develop it, right? He's given us that gift of discernment. He wants us to develop it. And the only way we're going to develop it is by actually using it and trying new things and failing and falling down and getting up again and going forward. So, you're allowed to hear God and trust your own wisdom. It's, kind of like that Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. You're not trusting God just because you're stepping out and trusting your own self, because you're still connected to God. That's the key, is acknowledging Him. And also, spiritual maturity looks more like less fear, more peace, quicker recovery when we mess up, all those things. It's not waiting and waiting to see what God's going to do next. It's us stepping it up to the line and taking a chance. If we go back to Philippians 1:6, he who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it. He'll be faithful to carry it on to completion. And if we can believe that, then we know that trusting God often is going to look like trusting the woman that He is forming, that He is developing, that He is creating as we go along. So, my Taking Back Happy friends, here's what I want you to hear as we close today. You are not starting from scratch. You are starting from a place of wisdom. You can trust yourself to make decisions. You can trust yourself because you don't have to make them alone. You can also trust your body because it's always communicating with you. It's not betraying you, it's communicating. So if we listen, we're going to be in tune with that. You can trust your mind and your emotions because God meets you in them. And also, they're little indicators. They're indicators to let us know that something's up. You can trust your spiritual instincts because the same God you trust lives within you. You have the mind of Christ. You have the heart of God. You're His girl. And you could trust the process, because even if you mess up or you misstep or you make a bad decision or whatever it is, God is still directing your path. Proverbs reminds us to trust the Lord with all our heart. And again, sometimes we get hung up on that next part. Don't lean on your own understanding. But that doesn't mean to totally abandon ourselves, right? That means we walk forward with Him. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to have perfect clarity, even perfect discernment. We don't need permission from anyone else. We just need to have the courage to take that very next step. So this week, this is what I encourage you. Don't ask yourself, well, what if I mess up? I want you to reframe that and ask it in a different way. What if you asked, what if I trust myself and God meets me right there? I love that thought. So my Taking Back Happy friends, keep trusting yourself, keep trusting God, and keep taking back that happy. And if you're ready to connect with other women, doing the same thing, then hop into that Facebook group, hop onto that, become that TBH Insider. Those are both great ways to make that connection. And if you want to go a step further, contact me about a free coaching call. I hope you guys have an awesome week. Taking back your happy. If this podcast blessed and encouraged you today, I'd love for you to share it with your friends. You can take a screenshot and share it in your stories, but make sure you tag me at Gina Granville so we can connect. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you join my Taking Back Happy Facebook group. I'll meet you back here soon, and we'll continue taking back happy together.